This is Real Eyes Radio, Episode 5. We're jumping right in.
Hello.
Hey, Rambo. How's your Friday? Your Good Friday.
Good.
How's it going?
Good. I've just recently now, doing that capital thing, haven't they? It's like really new, just the last hour or something. It's
Really? It's just in the last 2 hours. I know. I'm kind of staying out of it. All I saw was a purple car.
Yeah.
I don't know. So they've been stabbed. It's stabbing, right? It's not a shooting at the Capitol. It's a stabbing. Is that what I'm?
Yeah. He ran two policemen over and then jumped out with a knife.
Oh,
The
wow.
driver jumped out with a knife and then was shot dead.
Oh, wow.
So all in all, there was three. There was just three.
3 deaths. Oh, there you go. 3.
So, yeah, as usual, the number 3's there.
Per usual. Yeah, it's pretty strange. I feel like this is a leveling up or a ramping up of what we experienced on January 6th, with the Capitol insurgents, which was all theater. Yeah. So I don't really know what to make of this. Yeah.
It feels like a build up to something, I think, with all these constant, like smaller like psyops, really.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a build up. I feel like I can feel a build up coming to like a 9/11 kind of illusion going on.
Oh, wow. I think it's significant because you're in the UK and you're being saturated like minute by minute. You were aware the minute this Capitol thing happened. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's not happening just here in Washington, D.C. It spreads like wildfire immediately. And
they want us to know, don't they?
They want us to know.
That's the thing. When it's everywhere, they want us to all see it.
I'm curious because the Capitol has been, all the photos that I've seen of the Capitol, photos and videos, have been walled up, boarded up, really intricate gating systems all around the Capitol. How did this person even drive to the barricade? I'm curious how people even navigate the streets of DC, how anything like this could even happen.
I don't believe the scene's even real. Like when you're looking at the scene, it doesn't look real. It looks CGI to me.
Yeah. And Murph had brought up how all the colors are there. I saw the purple, of course I saw the purple vehicle. That's the first thing I saw and just turned away. Said, nope, not today.
And it's the ages. I want to see the ages.
And I was thinking, maybe it's going to be
like 33 and
33.
I was thinking 33 and then I thought 36. I'm going to go with 51.
Okay. Nice.
So 33 and 51 are the policemen, I reckon.
I like it. Covered the spread because you got your 33 in there.
Always those same kind of numbers in it and the ages and the dates.
Oh, look who it is. We've got Murph. Hey, Murph. Happy Friday.
Same to you. Very good week, huh?
How's
it's
it going?
It's been an excellent week.
It feels actually quite cathartic.
Yeah, I feel the same.
It's kind of been like, looks like it's been like kind of a nice atmosphere, hasn't it? But because not much has gone on really, has it, this week? Just the George Floyd, was it like the George Floyd trial? That was
the George Floyd trial
has taken up a lot of, yeah. And then we've had this tonight. I was surprised I didn't get anything on April Fool's Day. I really thought we might have got something, Joe.
Right. Well, there was a train accident in Taiwan, I believe. It was on like a holiday weekend. And so it's just very emotionally charged with the news of people going home to see their families for the holiday. So that's something I'm kind of keeping an eye on. So
just today we had just not long ago, I seen the Hunter Biden video. Someone sent me that. Have you seen that yet?
Yes.
So fake.
It's the clip where he's on Good Morning America, some Sunday show, right? And they're kind of teasing the preview of the weekend show. Yeah, he looks fake. He looks CGI. You can tell that he's not in the room. You can tell that he's in a green screen environment and not in the room with the interview.
I don't even think that. I just think he's fully not fake. He's
totally.
Just doesn't even exist at all, I feel. Just another one of them boogeymen to like part of the story and part of the movie.
Yeah. I only say the green screen part because if you're not there yet, if you're not there yet on these characters not being real, and you think Hunter Biden exists, and you think there's a Hunter Biden who's getting his laptop stolen, who's hanging out with hookers in Motel 6, whatever, sucking on a crack pipe 24/7, Hunter Biden, the Hunter Biden we know and love. If you believe that this jester, this fool, this buffoon is real, well, that is one thing. And it's going to be really difficult for you to entertain the idea of him not existing. But maybe you can still see that he's not there in the room. Maybe you could still see that it's a green screen and he's not actually, the background's fake. Maybe I feel like sometimes we have to start in little bits and bites. We can't just go all the way to the 1 yard line with saying these people don't exist. We have to kind of
yeah, you have to build up to, you kind of have to build up to that, don't you, really? And we had the Ghislaine Maxwell in the news, didn't we, as well? I've seen that she's being charged with something as well.
Yeah, what's the latest on her? I saw that they posted the picture of her with the purple dress, and
yeah, they use that in all the stories, didn't they? That day
they do. They're making it seems like that's the only photo available of her with all these updates. It's kind of crazy. I did notice that we still don't have a mugshot. We still don't have a mugshot of her. I'm kind of becoming a broken record on that, but it seems farcical and comical that they keep bringing her up in this trial. They keep kicking all the details of, more victims coming forward or more litigation coming from the DOJ and now she's got a husband and, and they're like on the hook for $25 million or something. They're being sued for their fortune. What have you heard, Rambo?
There's no proof of any of it though.
No.
We're just taking the headline for it and the newspaper story, of what it even is. We've not seen it. We don't even, well, we what we think, that she's not even real anyway. But it's like, they're just giving a story and everyone's just running with it and believing it. It's just, when you see someone like tweet about Ghislaine Maxwell is getting arrested or whatever, it's thousands of likes, it's she's still alive and well in people's minds. Not many are leaning towards the idea that she never existed at all, just like Jeffrey,
Yeah.
So even any videos I've seen of her, they all look a bit dodgy, don't they? There's only like a few available, but
yes,
I really see the one where she's like kind of doing a speech and that's the main one, which doesn't look real. That doesn't look real to me.
I'm with you. Everything that I've seen of her looks digitally. The few and far between is a red flag. Same with Epstein. Until the documentaries on Netflix started coming out, there were very few videos available of him. There was just one video of him speaking at a deposition about his egg-shaped penis, which was, basically everyone saw that because it was highly embarrassing and, and it was all over the news. So that got put in our faces and he looked CGI in that. And then there was one with him, of course, with Donald Trump at a party and he was smiling and you could see his like shark teeth, his tiny baby, millions of teeth in his mouth, but extraordinarily small. Those were really the only two videos of Jeffrey Epstein. They both looked very obviously CGI. And then when Netflix came out with their documentaries and they introduced a whole flood of new videos as if someone's like an archivist of Jeffrey Epstein, just like waiting to, here you go. Now that he's dead, we'll give you all of his videos. Seems ridiculous. It's just more confirmation to me that all of this is creation. It's all theater. And, Netflix is a content generator and they were just generating new content of this character, Jeffrey Epstein. And they could make new videos of him. And so they really only exist through these documentaries that got rolled out. And then we think all this.
And then there'll be, I think like the part 2 documentary will probably be the Ghislaine Maxwell story, part 2, link it to the series.
I bet. Oh, the tangled webs we weave. Yeah. Ghislaine. And I wonder, one of the most fascinating things about this whole web is that one photograph of Ghislaine Maxwell in the background of a JonBenet Ramsey photograph, Whew, that one is talk about the tangled webs. Yeah. I think I can't talk about this enough, but I do believe it's the Ouroboros, the symbol of the snake eating its own tail, where these fabricated stories implode. They connect to each other, not because they are connected in reality, but because they are connected through this knotted yarn of deception that is a through line, a thread through everything. And then
I was having a conversation today about what do what do you believe, like, the black and white symbolism means, like the checkerboard floor? What does it mean to you? Is it like good and evil? Is it duality? It's duality as well, and it's both. And is it a symbolism of what kind of, it's kind of like what Murph said, is that it's a symbolism that there is good here as well. Do you know what I mean? Like there's two shadow battles kind of going on, one for the light, one for the dark. Do you know, on like when people believe that there's like they call it like the white hats, for instance, that's just an example. But like, could it be like a symbolism that there is a good side and then there is a bad side to go with the rest of the duality that they show us?
Great questions. I'm curious what your take is on that, Murph, on the black and white symbolism. You know, I have colored thoughts out the wazoo. I want to hear what you think.
I think it gives us a rabbit hole to go into when we go into the symbolism. I mean, I think what it comes down to is the white and the black literally have a physiological effect on us. When we visually see the patterned colors, it actually it excites us in some kind of manner. I don't know exactly understand how, but you see it and used in marketing and advertising in order to get people feeling energetic about a product, energetic about an issue. You see it in the psyops, in the visual images that we see and what people are wearing. So I think it comes down to why it's used is to excite us, and then once we're excited and we're kind of we're fascinated by it, then we go into the symbolism stuff. But we sidetrack why they're actually using it, which is really a physiological kind of a biohack, if you will, which is the reason why it's used. The same kind of pattern symbolism is used in hypnosis. I mean, you see the pattern stripes on the Epstein temple, which is like something that everyone, a lot of times when I'm posting architectural images on my feed, I mean, a lot of people will make the observation that they see the same energy stripes on some of these old cathedrals that we call power plants on the Epstein temple.
Yeah, I've seen you post them and pattern black and white, like stripes, really, aren't they, in a way? I seen some myself the other day on a really old building and thought of you when I seen them. Joe. Is that a symbolism? Is that a symbolism of who built the buildings?
Well, I don't think it's a symbolism of who built the buildings as much as it is a fingerprint of who built the buildings and what the people were the kind of knowledge that the people had. I think that the reason why it's black and white, literally on a what we call a Masonic floor, in these old estates you see, like in England, even around me in old pre-war buildings in Brooklyn. All of the lobbies have the black and white checker patterns. It's kind of a very waspy kind of thing. They call it waspy, but it really goes back to the 19th century and even prior. And when these were all electromagnetically somehow activated structures. Not as if they're not right now. Everything is electromagnetic, but it was done in such a way that it's beyond our current understanding of how it operated. But that's the practical reason why, because then people could easily tell where the positive and negative charges were in the structures. They would probably use different metals, different amalgamations. You know what I mean? And in order to keep track of where it went, it was demarcated with the stripes.
Wow, that's
Why
fascinating.
Else?
That's
it couldn't just be because it looked cool.
Energetically, I think that's where it's at. I think you're right on. And I've never really known what to make of this little personal anecdote, but when I was a kid and I could see energy on the ground if it was tile floor. If I was looking at like square tile floor and I relaxed my eyes, after a bit, I could see an energetic grid line. I could see almost like semi-invisible energy currents. I could almost see like static energy all going in this diamond-shaped grid line, just buzzing along. And I usually thought it was some sort of just optical illusion that was happening because of just the way I was relaxing my eyes. And because once I would unrelax my eyes, I would stop seeing it. maybe there is something about that type of flooring that is sticky in a way to our energy and like gets it kind of absorbs it from the aether, absorbs it from the air, and funnels it down to the grid on the ground. Maybe there's an energetic superhighway happening just below our feet. Some people have reached out to me. I shared that about the energy one time on my Twitter, and I got a lot of people saying that they used to be able to see it in the sky, a very similar pattern. They would send me pictures of kind of what it appeared to them, and they would see. I've never seen it in the sky. I've never seen grid lines in the sky, but the way that what they were showing me and how they were describing this diamond pattern was basically exactly what I used to see on the ground. So if there's something happening in the sky and there's something happening on the ground, pulling our energy or transferring our energy, that's something, that's something to be considered. Our energy goes somewhere.
It would be the interaction of the negative charged ground and the positive ground, positively charged ions in the atmosphere, and all the ornamentation basically gets the party started.
Oh, okay. So all the things that we like, the fleur-de-lis and the copper doming and all the yeah. So we think of it as an ornamental, but it's operational. Yeah.
It was all useful, and I mean, there's a reason why it's all shaped the way it is. I mean, of course, it's not that everything. Of course, there was an idea of trying to make things beautiful, but it just so happens that I mean, if you look at just naturally forming things like ice crystals forming, they'll form in it looks like it's a hexagram.
And every ice crystal is different, essentially. Just like we hear every snowflake is unique and special. Ice. We kind of touched on this, but water has memory, and ice crystals can vary, just like snowflakes. They can all have their different patterns. But the hexagon is wildly. You talked about grounding. Like the hexagon is something that is like everywhere in nature, and it's power. The energy of a hexagon is, when we talk about the white tile flooring, it's almost like if you were to take that black and white checkerboard pattern and turn it from a 2D space into a 3D space, you could kind of see how each of these little squares actually are diamonds, and you can kind of see like little hexagons if you had like a different color shading in those black and white patterns, you could create hexagonal shapes within that just flat black and white checkerboard design. So there's something much more dimensional about the flat black and white. I think it's more important than just black squares next to white squares in repeat. I think that there's something really significant that we're not seeing it. We're seeing it for how simple it appears, how straightforward it appears. But I think there's something much more important. And also, when we're talking about how this reality kind of comes together, any design program, and we've talked about this before too, but any design program, the transparent layer, the base layer, is checkerboard, is a checkerboard pattern. So I think that's really interesting. That particular Masonic checkerboard style is also kind of foundational with graphic design and visual design. It's fundamental with this world design. There's got to be something with that, and the chessboard, the 8x8, 64 squares, there's something. And then
you've got the chess, all the chess, this 5D chess and all that. So it all goes in with it. That chess is linked to the checkerboard floor, and I feel like it's all some sort of the symbolism of a game being played upon us. Like,
yeah. That 5D chess, that's right. That was huge. That was huge with Trump. Everyone was saying that every move that Trump was making was first it was 4D chess, and then they made the leap. It's not just 4D chess, it's 5D chess.
I still don't understand what they mean. Like, I still don't understand that meaning of it's 5D chess. I think.
Well, I don't necessarily think I get it either, and I'm not sure anybody really gets it, but it could. It may be telling us something, just like we were talking about how if you add a little bit of shading to these white and black plain squares, you can actually get a new shape within the dimensionality. Maybe the 4D, 5D chess is telling us that there is more going on these 8x8 squares than just a flat gameplay.
some cheating going on or something, you know?
Yeah, some cheating going on.
I'd say this: if there's anything positive that could be gleaned from the Q alternate reality game, is that it did get people out of. I guess it gave people. It's almost it opened the door to kind of for lack of a better word, like a surreal worldview of seeing things in a completely absurd manner, and maybe that like the 5D kind of thing might key into that. It did almost end up like a fantasy world.
Yeah,
but not almost. It is a fantasy world. Let's not kid ourselves. But if anything good came out of it, it did appeal to the people's imagination, and it proves, if anything, people love myths. They love stories. They love it.
Comforted by our myths and our stories.
More so than the truth.
Far more than the truth. And you said something that I think you're totally right. That the through the looking glass element was a huge part of the whole Q rabbit hole. You know, the whole Alice through the looking glass. Basically, you're entering in the white rabbit, follow the white rabbit. Yes, and all of that was, you know, all of it was nodding to Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, the whole concept of entering into an upside down world, of entering through the looking glass, which is a mirror, an old way they used to say mirror, and into an entirely new and radically different world. And that's what Q introduced to us, which I kudos it is.
Do you think it purposely kind of knew people would get through the Q kind of thing, or do you know what I mean? Like come out the other side of it, or did you think they always thought they would have everybody contained within it, as in like all believe in it, or do you think that they would in my opinion, they've gone on to further wake people up beyond what they was trying to do, kind of thing, from my point of view?
So was Q part of this Great Awakening and really to wake people up, or was it to keep people asleep? And the whole Great Awakening thing was BS.
To make it made kind of like a cult in it, really.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I'm very thankful that I dug into Q. I think it taught me a lot about this whole game. It's a very well designed game, and I was in it, and it got me. It got me good. And I read every drop. I would dig into other drop. Rambo, I remember there was a time where you and I we were watching every drop happen. We would send stuff back and forth. And there came a time where I stopped reading it because I believed in it for surface value, for Q. I no longer believed in the Q stuff, quote unquote, because I no longer believed in Epstein Island. I no longer believed in these players being real and powerful. But what I was even more interested in after I kind of woke up from the kind of the Q fog, I was just more interested in how it worked, how the whole thing worked, how beautifully designed the gameplay was, with how the drops came out, how they, the deltas, how it connected to everything within the news, extraordinarily interactive, how the mainstream media was both teasing the existence and refusing to acknowledge. There would be some times where they literally wouldn't ask the Q, which everyone was saying, just ask the question, just ask about Q. And they refused to. I don't know what the true purpose of QAnon is. I don't.
It's coming back. I think it is coming back. They kind of left it for a reason. It's going to come back, and I feel like that's what I was talking about at the beginning. Like it is building up to something, and I think it's something to do with that, because when you do see through it, you kind of see that the art, it is linked to everything. The media, they're all linked into this, tied into this Q story. Even going to Disney films where it's like symbolisms of things, that it's all linked in. And when you do finally step out of it, Joe was disappointed in the most.
What?
Trump. I was all in on him. That Trump was the man.
Mm-hmm. The savior. Trump the savior.
And then you see right through him. You can see right through him now. I don't know how we used to think that about him, really. He had me for a while. Trump did. He did. He had quite a lot of people, really, didn't he? That thinking he was like a good guy in a bad camp,
I think the most incredible trick that Trump ever pulled off, or the character we know as Donald Trump, I think the most incredible trick was getting, the people in the Rust Belt, getting coal workers to side with a man who has golden toilets. How is that possible? How is that possible for an individual who is an egomaniac through and through? He's never owned anything in his life. He's just had licensing deals with his name on things. Trump buildings were never owned and operated by Trump. They were always just licensed out to have the name on the tower. I think that's it's genius. It's just the presence of Trump is everywhere, even though there's no ownership. There's no stake in the ground. It's just
a character that's been built up.
Yeah.
Brought into over a long time. When you look back at his the reality TV show stuff, he was building his character, making him familiar with us. So when it becomes a president, it's also a story in itself that it's a reality TV star,
Yeah. Did you ever watch The Apprentice over there in the UK, Rambo?
I've seen bits. We have our own over here with Alan Sugar. We have an apprentice as well with a guy called Alan Sugar. And it's all the "you fired," and he's kind of got the same kind of story. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day he becomes prime minister or something. He's always involved in the politics and stuff.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Do you think Boris Johnson exists?
No, I've been questioning this more and more. And if Trump's a character and Biden's a character, that Boris Johnson's a character, and if they've built him up, we kind of knew who Boris was way before he was prime minister. They built him up as like this drink. He goes to the club and a ladies' man and all that. They built him up over the years. And again, he never had facial hair. We've never seen him with facial hair. And he's a character. When they done the lockdown here, he kind of looked down the barrel of the camera and I was like, stay home. And it was like he was set for that moment on the stage, because the lady before, Theresa May, she couldn't have done that and looked down the barrel of the camera and said, right, they're all on lockdown. How he did it was kind of a memorable moment, how they brought it on the TV, I feel like he's 100% character, and I think he's Matt Lucas.
And what's it called? Rambo. Is there a curfew in Manchester?
No, they tried to. At the beginning they did, but everyone was just as normal. As it is here now, everyone's just normal, really, and it just sounds worse on the news, really. But at first, when he first started this over here, the roads was nothing on the roads, nobody around. It was like for the first month or so, it was just dead outside.
That's how it was here too. I remember driving around downtown where I live, which is a very bustling city, and it was a ghost town. It made me, all the storefronts were boarded up, and the ones that weren't boarded up, without the people inside, it just looked like a set. It looked like a movie set. Without the people, it just felt unreal. It felt like I was driving through the Truman Show. It felt like all of this was just a stage.
Yeah, there's nobody around. It was just like, it kind of felt like I was in a zombie movie or something,
Yeah, totally.
And we say all the films they've brought to go with what they bring into reality and stuff. And I thought about this a few times. Is the film I Am Legend, where they bring in a vaccine and everyone kind of turns into a zombie, and Will Smith's left at the end. It's like it kind of feels like we're living in them. that movie's kind of coming in, only it isn't blood-sucking zombies. It's zombies who won't come out, so in case they don't get coronavirus. Whereas in the movie they won't come out because it was daylight. These won't come out for germs.
No, it's funny. I just remember that the CDC actually released a directive, an instructional thing online. At first, I thought it was just a Lucy. Like the New York Post has these articles all the time that are just so absurdly like National Enquirer-ish.
Yeah.
And the CDC put a directive out about a zombie apocalypse.
Oh yes, what to do, how to survive a zombie apocalypse. It was like a quote unquote joke. Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was actually on there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on the website, which
Yes.
is funny because it's like they're kind of they tell us that it's not real.
I've been thinking a lot about zombies though lately. This whole idea of The Walking Dead, I feel like we're in it. I feel like
we are.
We are, you know, we are awake. I feel awake and aware and online and alive in a way that is unrecognized or unshared by some of the people around me. I feel like I'm surrounded by zombies. And, you know, this is Good Friday, good time to bring up the Bible. In the Bible, to be asleep and to be dead, they use the term sleep and dead interchangeably quite often. And I think it's really interesting because we are kind of like sleepwalking zombies. There's so many people going through life on this information loop, on this personal loop. You know, the information that they take in is on a set. They only get it from certain sources, and it's just on repeat every single day. The places they go, it's just on repeat. The things that they do, the people that they interact with, literally everything about life becomes this closed loop, and you kind of you become a zombie. And I think that
and you've got someone controlling them from TV, and you just can't take
Totally.
seriously. Like,
yeah,
when I'm seeing like Boris doing his speech and I'm speaking to people and I go, oh, Boris is doing his speech tonight, and I can't take it seriously. Do you know, like when he's talking, you can't take. It's just a character, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, you can see the kind of goading they're doing to like kind of annoy people with like how they've just recently like extended this 6-month period where they can put the country into lockdown at any time, you know. So it's like, and then they lift the like everything can open from like next week or the week after. And already they're telling us, oh, France is on a mega lockdown where they're not allowed out, and we're just across the way from France, aren't we? Only over the channel. And it's kind of to show us it can spread back to it. I feel like they've got another lockdown in the pipeline for us, really, and they're kind of just giving us a break at the minute, giving us a bit of hope just to crush it down again.
They're going to have to blame it on a variant. You know, I think that they're just going to have to keep that in their back pocket. It can't be the same strain, because then that would prove that vaccines are useless. You know, they have to find a way. They can't lock us down. Once the vaccines get to a certain level, I think
it's a vaccine pandemic that they're going to bring. I've got a feeling it's going to be the vaccine pandemic.
So you think it's going to be injuries from the vaccine or some sort of
side effect when enough people, and they know enough people have had it, because people are desperate to take it. A lot of people I know are desperate to take it, and I reckon when they've all had it, they're going to go, oops, sorry guys, we've done our best for you at the time, but you're all going to die.
You're all going to die.
And all the panic that it will cause, and the uproar, and it's another pandemic. Don't go out. The vaccine reacts with sun or something. It'll be something crazy where they have to lock down again anyway. You know, it'd be like movie scripts kind of stuff that I think's coming.
I think that's right on. I think that if enough people, you know, if enough people have the vaccine, and then you just say that something is up with the vaccine, the nocebo effect is so strong, which is the opposite of the placebo, which, you know, makes you feel good, even though there's no active ingredient that should be making you feel good, other than the chemicals that are being released in your brain by, you know, the procedures that our body just does. The nocebo effect is the same way. It'll make you feel, if you think you're harmed, if you think you're sick. And you talked about this last time, Rambo, too. Like, if you tell someone that they've got a scratch on their neck, they're going to start feeling it. They will even look in the mirror for it, because you'll begin to feel it.
We can flip the whole anti-vax thing. The anti-vaxxers would then be the ones in the right.
Oh, they would love it.
And the ones, it kind of swing the whole thing around, you know. So they're in the right on the argument now, and it's all pro-anti-vax.
Yeah. They would have their day in the sun. Wow, man. Again, it's a very well-designed game. It's a very well-designed game.
You can kind of see, if you like really step back, you can kind of see what they do, show the whole kind of plan they've got for us in a way, can't you? You know, that I feel like it's just they're pushing people, to trying to break people to just give up, not like give up the freedom, but kind of accept this new way of masks and new way of control kind of thing. They want you to just break to accept it. They'll give you back your nights out in the club or whatever once you've shown compliance. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to do anything to you like the vaccine, but it's shown that you will crumble.
Yeah.
To
I've long thought that vaccines, the only efficacy of a vaccine is to inform the government of the public's willingness to obey. That's it. I don't think that there's anything positive happening with vaccine science. I don't think that there's anything generative health-wise. I don't believe that there is true therapeutics happening within the world of vaccine. I also don't think there's anything toxic within the vaccines themselves. I do believe that there is incredible harm done to our body when we pierce our skin with a needle. That's an injury. That's an injury to the body. That's an injury to the system. That our skin is our largest organ. I feel like a broken record because I say this all the time, but our skin is our largest organ. If you have an injury on your skin and you are already primed, if you by stress, by anxiety, by worry, basically by watching the mainstream news, by everything, by modern life, and you have an injury to the largest organ on your entire body, your largest system, you are priming your immune system for a reaction. You're basically goading your immune system to have some sort of reaction. And our immune system usually reacts in a way that makes us feel bad, but it's just our body doing work. It's just our body going to work.
What's happening over there with the kind of the vaccine passport talk and all that? Is it actually going around over there?
A lot of talk about it for sure. A lot of talk about vaccine passports, but I don't think that I don't think that they can. I don't think the federal government can require a vaccine passport. I think that it's something that's going to have to be rolled out through business, through corporation, the corporate governing bodies. But I don't think it's going to be a vaccine passport. I think it's just going to be maybe industries laying the law, maybe airlines saying we're not going to let you fly.
Getting the majority on board, though, if they can get the majority to have a passport, for instance, then the minority will have to give in. That's kind of like, I think, well ago, because they kind of planted the seed, and it's over here at the minute. They're really talking about it, and people want it.
People want it.
Mad.
People want, just like they want the vaccines, people want these passports, people want these identification cards are really big right now. Your COVID
I hear
ID,
the guy comparing it to, well, once we had to give up our freedoms and we had to have rations, we had to sign for rations, so it's the same kind of thing. Some guy on the TV is like, it's trying to bring it in. The people will believe that. I think, oh yeah, they've done it before. They've done some. We're helping the world. Like,
we kind of have to buy in. We kind of have to buy into all this stuff. It can seem like it's coming from the government, but at the end of the day, we really have to buy in. We have to go get the vaccine. We have to request the vaccine. Despite
safe.
all the talk, there's no one showing up at your door to hold you down and give you the vaccine. It's the public willingly, and it always has been. We willingly show up to get the shot, to get the jab. We aren't enforced. Sometimes our employers can recommend, heavily.
Yeah, they're just giving us what we've asked for.
They're giving us what we've asked for.
They've made us ask for it. Like the majority are asking for it, and that's all they've done.
Yeah.
And if you're queuing up for it, and they say, no, it's not mandatory, but you need a passport to go anywhere. So it's kind of a trick.
It's a trick.
To really
Yeah.
The people will think, you don't have to have it if you don't want to go anywhere. Most people will just have it.
I agree. Yeah, and it reminds me of the masks. To go and to do anything, to go anywhere, you would have to, play the game. You would have to play the game of putting on the masks. I'm wondering, can they extend this mask requirement, this mask game? Can it go to the next level? Is it going to be this vaccination passport?
I think this mask is kind of something that they're planning to stay, really. But what still I find crazy is these people who are being vaccinated are kind of worried about the ones who haven't been vaccinated, giving it back to them what they've been vaccinated against.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It's illogical. It has no basis in reality, and it's all been fed to us through this informational delivery system, which is not just flawed, that it's not broken, it's working exactly as designed. It's not a broken system. It is working perfectly, and it is designed to fill our
when
heads.
I'm speaking to people when I'm out and about and they're speaking about this like it's serious, I just feel like I'm speaking to like a programmed robot, you know,
like a zombie, like The Walking Dead.
Like a zombie, yeah, like
yes.
I'm just speaking to just nothing really.
Yeah.
You know, it just parrots what he's seen on the TV.
I see people every day. I still am kind of half in corporate world, half out corporate world. And whenever I dip my toe back in, the conversations that I overhear are all about the vaccine. Everyone's obsessed with the vaccine schedule. And now we're not talking about the vaccine schedule because everyone's already gotten it. So everyone that I'm listening to, I've heard this whole story. Like I've heard them all talking about getting it and then getting the first one and then getting the second one, and everybody got sick after the second one.
Jab in April here, like that was on the news. Oh, we're having the second jabs available from April, and we really are in a different reality in that little group on Twitter, aren't we, compared to when you step out of it and you're in the world and you're like, wow, it's zombies everywhere.
Zombies everywhere. So here in the United States, everyone with the second jab was talking about how the first one was fine, but the second one made them feel ill. That was kind of the word on the street. And I don't think it has anything to do with the vaccine jabs being different. I think that it's just this conversation about the second one's going to make you feel sick. And so everyone heard that. And then lo and behold.
And then they feel sick. Yeah.
And they feel sick. And so I'm really curious. I'm curious, since this is rolling out for you, second jab in April. I wonder if you'll be hearing similar conversations. I wonder if the conversation around the second jab is going to be.
I think they're going to start saying, oh, we've had more deaths from the vaccine, because we've already had a few, and we've had a few that have been pushed in the news and stuff, just planting that seed how they do, and then all of a sudden it comes on in a wave. Oh, we've had 10 people die of the vaccine. Oh, we're in the hundreds. And then it'll be, oh, there's someone in America, 10 people in America died of the same vaccines. You know, it's be all, then they spread it like that again, as they did with this, really.
Did you see that guy with purple legs? He had some... I mean, it looked really painful. I hate to, I hate to make a joke out of. There are real medical conditions, but
fake lives don't matter.
Yeah, he got the COVID-19. He got the jab of the second vaccine. It was the Johnson & Johnson one. He got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and the next day his legs turned purple and his skin peeled off, and looks like he got boiled in a vat of hot grease. But God, I don't believe any of it. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe that his legs were truly purple and peeling off. And I love that Johnson.
Think how many people believe that story?
Everyone believed it if they saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that's what's crazy about it. That to me and you guys, it's just so obviously fake, but many people believe it.
The interesting thing about those articles, right, is that we say that everyone believes it, and that's true, right? But it's not just like the conspiracy theorist people that believe it. It's like the interesting thing is what I think the purpose that you were talking about, the overall reasoning behind why this whole issue is front and center, is because the normies believe this story, don't think that the news is lying to them, and then still go and drive themselves to a clinic and get a shot.
Yeah, I think that's part of the willingness.
That's the craziest part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at it, we can easily just laugh it off and see the purple and just see the whole Lucy aspect of it and just say, oh, that's not real. Yeah. But imagine if you don't have that framework in which to understand news, you believe it's real, yet you still go ahead and do it. I mean, I think that's maybe the reason, one of the reasons why people, I don't think that all the stories of people getting sick are fabricated. I think just like the COVID stuff, people who believe it, like they really do like experience symptoms and say, like they'll walk around and say that they have COVID and they have a fever or whatnot. It's not like they're inventing. It's not like all of those stories are fake. And the same thing with the vaccine. I mean, that's the reason, one of the main reasons why I'm against it so much, is that it's such a wild card. Our bodies are so unique. Everyone has such a different reaction. I mean, it's just like someone drinking alcohol. One person could have a beer and be completely fine. Another person can have a beer, and the next thing you know, they're running down the street naked.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, we have you're right. The human body is incredibly unique, and everybody's system is so fragile. Like some people have really fragile systems. And so, yeah, I do think that there are real negative reactions, real illnesses happening. It's happening. People are really getting sick, but I don't believe it's caused by SARS-CoV-2 novel coronavirus 19. I don't believe that there is a deadly pandemic ravaging our global health system. I simply do not believe in this new category of coronavirus. I do believe in coronavirus as a common cold, rhinovirus, coronavirus. There's one other one. There's 3 categories of common cold. People get sick. I've had the cold before. I've had the flu before. We get sick. Sickness is real. But I think that sometimes they just give this everyday thing a new name, and they fill our heads with all these narratives. And because we do have these real reactions, we can be swayed very easily. We can be swayed very, very easily.
Crazy theory as well. It's since Murph said, could they be good guys? Like, this is just a crazy theory, this. But what if they're trying to coerce us all into getting the vaccine to protect us from something else? And there is something in the vaccine that is a protection.
Oh no. Well, then
that's wild. Yeah, I know that's a bit wild. But it was just one of them. I was off on one before. And
okay, I'm gonna stay open-minded. Tell me. Let's keep
that's
that
trying
around.
To be positive. You've got to try and see a positive in it, aren't you? Really, and that's looking for a positive.
I don't think that's crazy at all. And I think actually that's probably more likely to be what's going on than anything else. Because it really is something that is so out of the box. Mm-hmm. And I mean the Earth is electromagnetic. It's a geomagnetic planet. I don't know if it was a planet, even a plane, geomagnetic
plane. Yeah.
Geomagnetic plane, right? Yeah. And it will experience changes, and sometimes the changes are drastic. And I think that's maybe what's going on with one of the reasons why there's such a blatant schism, or it's not schism. Schism is an ugly word.
Good word though. No, yeah,
right?
Chasm.
Great word.
Chasm,
I like
schism. That. Yeah, great.
Between the normie, woke, and then like I think you used the word once in a post you did a while ago. Bespoke. Mm-hmm. The whole the people aren't even real kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And out of the conspiracy world, I don't consider myself a conspiracy theorist. The farthest thing, I don't want to be one. But
I feel like I'm not one, and I feel like a conspiracy theorist kind of follows all the stuff that's put out, and we're not following that kind of stuff. So if you're following like the devils, the Satan stuff, and all that, I feel that's your conspiracies, really.
Yeah.
And
the
Tom Hanks and all your symbolism.
Yeah. I would say I definitely considered myself a conspiracy theorist. For sure. Yeah. Proudly.
Our friends call us conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. But yeah, our friends. Yeah, exactly.
Our families, right?
I still definitely wear that label. But you're right. I don't self-identify as that anymore. I simply do not believe in these quote unquote conspiracy theories. And you say it all the time, Murph. You say conspiracy theater. I think that that's what it is. I think it's conspiracy theater. And I think that all the conspiracies always point to a big, bad shadow government who's all powerful. And, like with this, even if you just take the JFK assassination, it always points to the government behind whatever, whether it's the Cubans or the mob or the CIA or the Russians or whatever. It's always some larger entity group that is outwitting, outsmarting all of us throughout time, and we'll never get to the bottom of it because whoever perpetrated it is just too good and too smart and too coordinated. And at the end of the day, I don't think that assassination even happened. And that's why we can't figure it out, because it simply did not happen. The reason we can't figure out how that bullet zigzagged through his brain and out his skull in a completely unimaginable trajectory from a single gunman. all these little details that just don't make sense, they can easily be explained once you realize that the event just simply didn't happen.
Like every event is kind of structured to have people believe it. The ones that believe it, that just believe everything on news, and it also has like the conspiracy side set up for it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But did they ever set up a side to say this didn't happen at all? Did they ever set anything up for that?
Never. And this is new. This is very new. I feel like, I mean, questioning reality is not new. The great thinkers of the great thinkers of the world have questioned what it even means to think. So we're not new. We're not in new territory here. But what we are doing that is entirely different and is new in this modern context is we're questioning not just the details of the events. We are questioning the fundamental underpinnings, the fabric of the events themselves. We're questioning the authenticity, the fidelity, the validity, and the reality of these traumatic and timeless events. We're still haunted by the JFK assassination. We're still haunted by, of course, 9/11. It's been 20 years, but we're never gonna shake that event. We're still Hiroshima, Pearl Harbor.
What if they bring on the aliens? They'll be in them events will be in the past, then it'll be all about the aliens.
When are they going to roll out these aliens? Yeah. When are they going to, how bad do things need to get for them to roll out the aliens? I don't know.
I do believe they're gonna come with these CGI aliens soon enough.
They have to. Yeah. I think it's gonna look a lot like Independence Day with the spaceship over the White House beaming up.
And then it makes sense as to why they would bring in this they would bring everyone closer together with that, though, wouldn't they? They'd bring the world together.
Yeah.
With an alien, or is it?
Yeah, with social media.
Is it to trust government more? Would government kind of fight them off, and everyone would then trust the government more? Is that there would be two sides to that as well, really? Like, would we want it to bring everybody together, or would it just be easier for a small group to show themselves and rule the whole?
How ironic will it be when all the normies believe in aliens and all of us are like, no, they don't exist? Isn't that the flip?
That would be a whole other thing.
Yeah, because for forever it's been like those wackadoos believe in the aliens and normal people.
But do you remember like Joe Rogan had like the Tic Tac pilot on and stuff like that? Do you remember that? Like where they've seen a Tic Tac in the sea, and have you seen that? And it's a Navy ship.
I haven't seen that.
Have you not seen it where the
Are you saying TikTok or Tic Tac? What are we saying?
The Tic Tac. The Tic Tac spaceship, they called it. And
no.
The pilot was on Joe Rogan, which that stands out to me. And it's kind of all these alien things. It's been building us up for that for a long time. It's got to be something spectacular when it happens, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah, the alien thing's been bubbling for many, many years.
It's coming. It's coming. That's something
Roswell,
that I feel
back
strongly
in the 50s. About. Yeah, and it's always kind of to introduce more budgets for the government. Who knows what they're doing with all this money, but it's just to make the government seem more important and necessary. And even all the initiatives with like communicating with other planets and communicating with extraterrestrial life, using these extraordinarily expensive telescopes. Yeah.
They've been like kind of hinting at the coming from the sea.
Really?
On Earth. Yeah, on this one, it was like kind of coming out of the water in the middle of nowhere. And I've seen a few stories like this where pilots say, they've seen them going into the sea. And are they kind of trying to say, they're coming from Earth? Do you know, is that like a message?
Well, extraterrestrial just means more land, extra territory, additional land. Doesn't necessarily mean outer space.
I believe we'll see some sort of like UFO shooting down a building, and we'll all see it on telly, and the people who live in the town will see the building come down, and it'll all be that scenario again, but nobody will actually see anything.
Interesting. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think, and we'll see it all on, there'll be like one person who got it on their TikTok, and then we'll all watch
we'll
the
see
TikTok video.
planes, like
Yeah,
maybe
we'll see the plane.
we
Yeah.
may see like army planes in the sky who think they're going to look for them and all that. You know, we may see that to go in with the illusion that they're actually here. You know.
Well, I know one thing's for sure: the alien invasion will be fake.
Be fake,
and it will be purple, 100%.
Yeah, the aliens will be purple,
come,
100%.
If aliens come, they're going to be purple. They're not going to be. They may be little green men, but they're going to be in a purple spaceship or something.
Gray,
Ultimate Gray. There you go. Oh boy. Oh my God. Is Ultimate Gray here to introduce the alien spaceships and alien bodies? These gray beings. Oh boy.
What do you think, Murph, about the alien attacks? Do you think it's a possibility?
Someone asked me yesterday. They posted something and tagged me and asked me what rabbit holes I'd never been down, and that's one of them. I've never been down them. Frankly, I don't think I will.
That's a great question for you, Murph. Where haven't you gone? Yeah, I love that.
No, I mean, aliens, I mean, I've said this before, aliens and ghosts are two things that, it's not that I don't believe in them. It's just that I've never had I'm open to the idea of it. Yeah. And like, sometimes even if I'm walking down like a hallway or something like that, and I have the option to turn the light off, you know, I'll turn the light off and then I'll be in pitch black and just like waiting for something to happen. Nothing happens.
I like that.
I think the door's closed for me and aliens, really, and also ghosts as well. Really, that's not real, because remember they used to kind of push these paranormal activity things, and that's kind of fizzled out a bit now.
Yeah, Ghost Hunters, that was a big show. A lot of.
And then they had the guy here who used to like. I think he done a few shows in America, and he was like, he used to go to these haunted houses and he'd call out the ghosts and stuff, and it all turned out he was a con man. They put him into a TV show called The Big Brother House here, and he'd done like this calling on somebody who was in the house with him in the Big Brother house, and it showed him cheat, and he made big headlines of it that he kind of made the name spell out on the table, but he done it with his hand, like this slight hand. And it was all caught on the reality TV show. Quote unquote, and they made it all headline news. Like they was telling us it was all fake, you know.
Wow. You know, this whole concept of communicating with the dead is something I just learned the word for it. It's called necromancy. Sounds kind of like necrophilia. It's not having sexual relations with the dead. Not that. It's actually in the Bible. It's called necromancy, and it means communicating or conjuring or trying to have some sort of open lane, open energy, open medium between yourself and the world of the dead.
It's something you just see because you believe in it.
I think so.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually, yeah. That's an incredible thing to bring up, because I was just listening to a podcast about near-death experiences, and your near-death experience, where people have these like incredible visions, incredible, come to Jesus moments, the life flashes before their eyes. These are real stories. People communicate, when they actually are very, very close to death. They will have out-of-body experiences. They will have very incredibly strong religious understandings. They will still see God, all sorts of stuff. The interesting thing is it's very tailored by religion. If you're in a specific religion, your near-death experience is going to be in line with your religious practices. If you're a Christian, you're not going to have a Hindu come to Krishna moment. You're not going to have an experience from another God. You're going to have your Christian come to Jesus moment. If you're any other religion, pick your poison. I think that's
they're
kind of
all very the same, aren't they? They're all
which makes me and a lot of religions are actually the same. They kind of beg, borrow, and choose from each other, which I think is really, really interesting when you study how the commonalities between all major world religions. There's so many common threads.
It's to conflict, really, I believe, and it's just division. That's all it is. They're all similar to have conflicting stories for division, but then you have to remember, where's it come from? That it's come from a man, and only people will deceive people, you know, and it's written for deception. All of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The whole thing is deception, and it kind of puts, like we've said before, like magical beings, but born from humans, in front of people, you know. So say if there is a creator, these books are created to put something before a creator. So these things are what we follow now, are religions, and the Jesus character, for instance, that I believe that was something put in place in front of the creator to be followed and taken off in the wrong direction.
That's fascinating. I mean, there's
a middleman who put a middleman, before it's kind of hiding the creator, these religious books, I believe.
That's fascinating. I'm as I get older, I get more spiritual. There was a time in my life where I would consider myself agnostic or atheistic. Now, as much as I question everything being real and everything being fake, you'd think I'd be even less religious, but I definitely feel myself being pulled more strongly into the world of religion, spirituality. Yeah, definitely religious. Spiritual. And I can see very clearly and very plainly and very directly, I can see a creator and a designer. I can see the design. There's no doubt that we are living in a creation, that this has been designed so intricately and so precisely. So I'm there. I mean, as far as religion, but religion, so spirituality, and I feel like a design, like in a divinity, an inner divinity, is ultimately what I believe.
Is that peace? I feel just completely at peace, like, and that is where I feel I'm at a spiritual level. I just feel so calm at all times, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't take things as seriously, but it's just I'm kind of unplugged from the whole, like you say, like world just runs itself and we just plod along and then we die kind of thing. I kind of feel like I've stepped away from that stress the stress that kind of life can give you, you know, being just in the system. So although I am still having to work and you are still in the system, you kind of unplugged from the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like spiritually, you're unplugged. It can't pull anything from you. You know, the stresses of life just don't seem to affect me anymore.
Something's in the air.
That's beautiful. I feel that too. And don't you want, I mean, we should want that from religion, but instead religion gives us more stress. Religion tells us anger, stress, division. We're sinners. You know, we have to always be accounting for all of the wrongdoings of always being worried about, you know, the sky daddy looking down on us, telling us we've done wrong, or the underneath the devil just beneath our feet with the fiery flames of hell. You know, and everything that we do is always being judged. And at the end of the day, we're gonna have to measure up at the pearly gates. It's kind of stressful. It's kind of stressful to live inside religiosity. But I think that there's a reason that every civilization that we've ever been taught and told of always has a religion, an organized religion. And there is, you said the word middleman, and I think that that's just the absolute perfect thing to say is we've been conditioned to believe that we need an interim body. We need some sort of middleman, some go-between between us and divinity, in the source of creation. And I think that that's just bullshit. I think that we are divine beings, every single one of us, and we have this spark of life.
And what was before religion? You don't hear much about before religion. That was all like so the earth started at religion. That's kind of anyone looking back. That's where it kind of is when
earth started and then sin started, and we've been fucked ever since.
And then they say, oh, you can't get to heaven and all this stuff without accepting Jesus and stuff. But what about the people who was around before Jesus, before the Jesus character? What did they do? And then this walking on water. I'm sure I got it from you. And where the sun is shining on the water, and that's the sun walking on water. Do you know what they talk of the Jesus walks on water? It's actually the sun when the sunbeams shining down on the water, and you can see like a path.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that the sun setting over water, like the sun setting over an ocean, when it gets to a certain level, it almost creates a road, a light path from from the shore to the sunset, and it looks like a yellow brick road. It kind of looks like, the whole thing of follow the yellow brick road when the sun is setting over water.
Symbolizes the sun who walks on water.
The sun who walked on water. The sun walking on water. The sun form. Yeah. SUN. What did it look like?
Looks like an obelisk.
Oh God. Back to the dick jokes. Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
No, it looks like an obelisk.
It really does.
Like an energy device.
Like a tower. Like a
same shape. Same shape.
Really is. It really is. I think that there's something really magical about that light path. I always wondered
the yellow brick road.
The yellow brick road. I wonder if, it could be very easily tested, but if you ran really fast and just as the sun was setting, could you run on
and
water?
That's another thing that's getting on the yellow brick road. We were talking about it with Murph about war and stuff the other week.
Yeah.
And like the Wizard of Oz, how that plays a big part in everything. I feel like it's got a big part in what we see play out. And kind of like the poppy fields is one I don't see anyone talk about. But I've seen you talk about that, and what the sleeping, they go to sleep with the poppies, and then we're given the poppies to remember the fallen soldiers.
Oh, in the UK, that's right. Yeah, and that's in October, right? Or in fall.
So it's like we're sleeping on it. Do you know what I mean? Do you know? I don't know. There's something to it.
Yes. When I visited London, it was that month, and I remember them passing out poppies at the hotel, and you could wear a little poppy pin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
now
I remember
and again,
thinking it was so gruesome and morbid, because ultimately war is about, especially the war in Afghanistan, it's about protecting the opium, the poppy fields. It's protecting this opium trade.
And quite a lot, you get stories like that coming to the news of, a man weed on the poppy, or a Muslim burnt the poppies, and you get stuff like that quite a lot popping up. Is that to keep people
asleep?
Really defensive of it? You know, it keeps people defensive of the poppy. Like just recently, they had it's main news here is a school teacher showing the kids in school a prophet of Muhammad drawn as a cartoon, and they was all offended by it. And then they're comparing it to, well, what if you burnt a poppy? Do you know, like it's like playing them off each other all the time. If someone burnt a poppy in the classroom, I'm sure everybody that would be outraged too.
So it's kind of like burning a flag. It's like a
so like you always see stories of like people peeing on them and people burning them and stuff like that, and it's kind of again just it's to keep that the public defensive of it, you know, angry if anyone. So again, it's like a division scheme again, really. For all sleeping on the war that never happened.
Yeah. And, this is something
you got me onto the war thing. You remember we talked about
guilty.
It, talking about the flags in the coffins and stuff like that. And
yeah. And, speaking of the coffins, and a really interesting thing about war is for a long time, media was never allowed to show fallen soldiers' coffins. There was a moratorium for over a decade, and you were not allowed to show anything related to death from war. You couldn't show the coffins coming in. You couldn't show, you couldn't show burials. You just couldn't show any visual elements of it, and it was supposed to be about respect. It was all housed and caged in this discussion around respect, and so many people were dying in war because it was the height of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, which is still going on, oddly. And so for about 10 years, there were no published pictures of soldiers' coffins or anything like that, and it's been lifted, so now you can have it. But during that time, I think it's really interesting is I personally believe, now looking back on where I stand and how my lens works now, I believe that they said that we couldn't see these because they simply didn't have them to show. They simply did not have the incredible amount of body bags being returned, the incredible amount of fallen soldiers being returned in these coffins. They just didn't exist.
Like and now, if you type in like dead soldiers that have died or whatever, they're not real. They're not. These
the names
faces
and
on.
the faces
if you go on
are
images
not real.
on Google, they're
real.
not real.
They're not.
These faces are not real, and Joe, when you did all these mugshots of them that you get, and it goes with all the mugshots you get, the face is always looking directly down the camera, but the two ears never match, as though the head's slightly turned, even though it's not, and it's looking direct at the camera. It's like, and that's how I kind of see, like, they have missing, like, the ears never match, never, and it's always, I always look at it, the jawline is perfectly straight on at the camera lens, so how are the ears not the same?
Wow, I have never picked up on that before, but I certainly will be looking at it. I get the same vibe when I look at soldiers who have died in war, and I see their military photos, because every soldier who enters into the military gets photographed as part in their uniform. And whenever I look at these faces and see the names, first the faces to me appear, it kind of reminds me of the faces that from the September 11th memorials. Like, they just don't look real, and there's a lot of repeating faces where it's like the same
Empty
person
shells,
with a different name.
yeah.
Empty shells. The eyes are voids, not windows. There's no soul behind the eyes, and so they just see, like, black empty eyes. And the names are always just strange. It's either a very common name like Sam Smith, but it's spelled with a Z, like Sam, like, it's spelled strange. It's spelled odd. It's not spelled the way that it's different, more letters, crazy spelling, or it's a name that's never existed before. Like, you've never seen anybody with this first and last name before. Those are, I've noticed that the faces looking off, coupled with a name that seems to be singularly unique. Like, nobody's ever had this name before. That's
and these pictures, when you join in the army or you're getting arrested or anything like that, they don't take a picture of your head slightly turned. You're looking straight. They want a face on picture of the recruit or the criminal, whatever, Yeah, and I'd look out for that. Anyone listening, check that out. Check the ears out on anyone looking straight down the camera. The face is always straight on. The ears are never the same.
And I do come from a military family. I've got a lot of pictures of people in war. I've got a lot of stories of people in war. But all of the stories, the most harrowing stories that I ever heard from my dad, and he was a Marine, fighting in Vietnam, training was pretty ridiculous. The scariest tales that he would tell me were about training. They would be in a helicopter in full tactical gear and have to jump from the helicopter into the middle of the ocean at night in full black and pitch black, and have to hope that they started swimming in the right direction and pray that they would make it to shore, because they had no other, but that's training. That's training. And he told me how but
I question what have they actually seen.
I think the training is so scary, and the training exercises and the war games, which they literally call them war games, and they literally call it theater of war. They call it the theater. They do. This is not a term that I made up. I love the term theater, but I didn't make it up. It's called theater of war. Every battlefield, every single active battle is called a theater. If the military's in it, it's called a theater. I think that's pretty incredible.
What's mad though as well? Like, I've talked about football before, and Manchester United, and their stadium is called the Theatre of Dreams. I know it was just off subject there, but it just reminded me of the
It's not off subject though. It's on subject. It's all related.
It's called they winning for years and years. Every year they pretty much won the league for years. They did, and
the Crystal Palace too. The Crystal Palace Stadium, right? Yeah. And crystals are, they kind of, crystals, finely grand quartz sand, the Sandman, Back to Dreams. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. But sports.
There's something in the wording. I feel like there's always something in the wording, isn't there? They're kind of telling us it's a theatre, all the time.
Yeah. I think soldiers are really going over there and really getting scared. I don't want to diminish the effort and the work.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that, and they're being made to feel like heroes, and we are seeing stuff.
And I bet it's very scary.
They're coming out with PTSD.
Explosions.
But I feel like it's like your hardcore, like I won't say MK Ultra, but let's say just hardcore MK Ultra training, really.
Yeah. Boot camp is known for breaking the spirit. the entire purpose of boot camp, of military boot camp, is to breed conformity in mind, body, and spirit, is to break the mind, body, and spirit, and
love your country and love your flag and feel like you're different from other countries and you're against them, the rivalry.
Yeah. And I truly believe that everyone believes they're doing something important. I don't think that any soldier is in on this. I don't think.
Oh, no, not at all. No,
yeah.
I don't. But they're being directed to go.
Totally.
And they're doing the right thing. But they're looking to the authority. They've been trained to respect authority. So they're just taking that order and going with it. Yeah. And they're just passing that down to the guys who are going out and doing it. And it's like, I feel like when they do, because I do know somebody who's actually been affected by it. So, like, with legs lost and stuff, but is that part of, again, the illusion that they have to sacrifice something? They have to let the odd guy step on a mine to affect all the others mentally and make it real.
I think that the injuries of war are real, and it's set dressing. It's set dressing within the theater of war. And there's a reason that the Army is. I think that now, like, it's all volunteer based. You know, the military we're not under a draft scenario at the moment, and we haven't been since Vietnam. They haven't had a draft.
And you sign up, you're signing up.
You're signing
for it. You know, they're not making you go in the Army. You signed up for it. That's what kind of
and it goes back to that.
From it.
It goes back to that willful obedience. You know, we willingly sign up for the vaccine. It may seem like it's being mandated and rolled out by the government and required by the government, but unless you willingly go and ask for it, you're not
they're just giving you what you want. Just handing what you're asking for. That's all. That's kind of how they do it with everything, isn't it? They make you want it.
Yeah.
They make you ask for it. They make you sound cool, so you want to do it. And you've done it. You signed up, or you took it yourself, and it's all on you, really. They just give you what you want. After everything we've seen now, it kind of all makes sense. That it makes more sense for it to all be fake and be theatre of war than it does to be real.
The theater of war. You know, that John Lennon song, you know, the Beatles song, Imagine There's No Countries. You know, imagine there's no war. I think that there are no countries. All these divisions are purely man-made. You know, these dividing lines.
They set up the rivalries with the Olympics, football, the war, your flag. It's all set just as cracks in society.
Yeah, territorial nets, but they really don't. There's no true concrete divider. It's all man-made. It's all a man-made construction, and we just agree. And it shifts over time, you know, and all the territories ebb and flow and shift, as they say. But none of them are true demarcations of reality. It's just these shared illusions that we agree that one state border ends here and then the other state begins, or one country border ends here and the other one begins. The only true demarcating line is really the seashore, or, you know, a body of water that you can't traverse, or a mountain that you have to go over. That, you know, those are real dividing lines. But a lot of the man-made, and I'm not even totally sold on all those structures. I'm not even totally sure that mountains are real, you know, or created over time in the millions of years that they tell us by these tectonic plates shifting, all that stuff, you know.
I went for a walk a couple of weeks ago, and I found this cave, and it was called Suicide Cave, and it was a coral reef. It was in a mountain, and it said it was a coral reef 33 million years ago. So
it should have been underwater. Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of didn't get what are they trying to say? The water? Is it to sell the kind of the flood, whatever, you know. It says this was a coral reef 33 million years ago.
Yeah, I find that pretty wacky. I find those things to be kind of wacky. when we're told that everything was underwater, because then it begs the question, where did the water ultimately settle? Where did the water go? If it's a closed, contained system and everything was flooded at some point, where has this water gone? How do we have receding?
Where did it go?
Where did it exit?
The story doesn't make sense, like, as to why it would have all been underwater. But Murph knows a bit about whether it was underwater or not, doesn't he?
Lately, my thinking has been that the flood stories are mostly false, to basically take away the idea that water is constantly self-generating. I think water is a complete psyop. We're buying water, the scarcity of water, the scarcity of these resources, oil, water, it all ties into really what I think is probably the most important psyop of all, which is the energy meta hoax, I guess, the whole thing of denying, the reality of energy and reality of the earth, and the fact that and we were talking last week, and I was watching some videos this week, the videos of the volcanoes in Iceland, and I think that Rambo is completely right on this volcano stuff. I had heard of the volcanoes being fake theory first from Aaron Dover, and I thought that was just kind of more of his wacky when he kind of flew into absurdity. But I don't know. It's just something I didn't really get into those particular videos. But I think Rambo is completely right. I think the majority of the volcanoes that we see are not real, and kind of to give us the idea that the Earth is just full of this molten lava, and not water.
Magma, molten. That's like the Austin Powers thing, the liquid hot magma at the center of the Earth. Yeah,
those volcanoes look so fake.
They do.
The Pompeii story with you guys were saying last week.
Yeah, Lucy.
The image of the lovers at the bottom of the grave, like holding each other.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yep. Yeah, because the volcanoes really, they tie into so much of the fakery, and they I feel like whenever we see pictures of dinosaurs and stuff, there's always volcanoes erupting in the background. That's a big part of the volcano. The volcano trope is that, is back in this like Paleolithic era, that volcanoes have always been creating the land. Yeah.
The fact that Tom Hanks was in Joel versus the Volcano is sufficient proof enough for me that volcanoes are fake too. Right?
Joe versus
1990, 1989. I think it was with Meg Ryan.
Early Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
Early Tom Hanks, when he was considered like a romantic lead. Remember him?
Yeah.
Before Ben Stiller took over for him. In your mind.
I'm sticking to it. Ben
Stiller's going to be in James Bond next.
You know it. Yeah, he's going to be like he's going to be on People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive, a 2021 edition. 100%. I'm putting my stake in the ground now. Well, I think since we made it back to Tom Hanks, that was our first Tom Hanks reference of the entire episode. I think this is a really great time to take a break.
It's actually now 23:33 here now.
23:33.
There's a look at the clock there. 23:33.
I have, ever since Murph planted this in my head, I see 33 everywhere. Murph, I'm looking at you right now. You've got me on the 33 track. Before I was like, oh, 1111. Ooh, 444. But now it's like 33 only, and every time. That's all I get. That's all I get now is my 33. So thanks, Murph. All right, well, let's take a quick break and we'll be back in a bit.
I was thinking of something that I've posted in the past, and it's a bit of a fun one. It's about a character, and it's Gordan RAMsey. Do you know who Gordan RAMsey is?
Oh yes, of course, the chef who's yelling at everybody.
Yeah, so we've got like this world known chef character in my opinion, is a character.
And he's so
and
angry,
I
right?
don't know
He's
whether,
always yelling and.
Yeah, and I don't know whether, I don't believe he wears a mask, but I do believe he is just a character that's been put on to play a part. And he come out of Hell's Kitchen. That's where he come onto the scene, in Hell's Kitchen. And what are the chances his name is Ramsey? Like, is it show us he's got a fake name? Because what are the coincidences? His name is Gordan RAMsey.
And the ram is on the sigil of Lucifer, right? Or
the Satan thing, and then he's in Hell's Kitchen. That's where he comes onto the scene.
Baphomet satanic goat ram. Yes. Okay, so the ram.
There's something in it. I don't believe
Hell's
in coincidence.
Kitchen. No, I'd never made that connection before. That's wild. I never made that connection before. Yeah.
You know where you've heard that one.
Well,
John Benet Ramsey. Is it all sort of a?
Yeah, I absolutely think that the ram in John Benet Ramsey is pointing to two things. It's pointing to this whole idea of the satanic ritual abuse, the satanic ritual killing.
And then you've got Ramsey in Hell's Kitchen. It's kind of
the hell.
What are the chances?
It's all Satan, hell, the whole world. So ram on that side. However, RAM also means random access memory in a computer. RAM. Ramsey. John Benet Ramsey didn't exist. She's a computer figment of a computer program. John Benet Ramsey as random access memory feels on the nose just as much as the ram pointing to the satanic ritual part of the story, because that's what the story was of John Benet Ramsey. That's what the public got fed. They got fed this really torturous, really horrific. I mean, honestly, it's like a snuff film.
I don't think the name
is crazy.
Ramsey is a coincidence that it's with these satanic kind of and the hell and all these.
It's so overt. Hell's Kitchen.
So his name, in my opinion, that can't be a real name.
Nope. And I think you're right. It's probably a real person. I don't think he's wearing a mask, but I bet it. Yeah, it's like a played for life. It's a character played for life.
The same as Anthony Bourdain.
I bet.
And his name is like Chef Boyardee.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And how Anthony Bourdain died the same weekend as Kate Spade. Remember, it was
right after he posted that he had information on Hillary that would lead to his death. And 48 hours later, he's dead in France.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so a little bit of a tidbit on that one. At that point, I was very into I was into the whole thing. I mean, I was in it, knee deep. I really believed that all of this stuff was going on. And when Bourdain was signaling towards this, and then he dies, and Kate Spade there's all these connections with her, and then she died. I mean, I was on a cruise. Supposed to be unplugged, completely unplugged, out my phone's in the safe, like totally disconnected, like a cheap last minute cruise, just going to get away from all things technology. But of course, like what you can't get away from is the little TV in like the shoebox that you're in, and it's like, and it's CNN, and CNN's just like, it's just, Kate Spade dies, and then immediately Anthony Bourdain dies, or one or the other, but it happened within the couple of days, and it's during this stretch that we're on this like 5-day cruise, and in the 5-day cruise, 2 people die. And that's like all we're saturated with. And it's my realm. And in my mind, I'm like, told you so. But I was just boiling over with what I believed was this deep proof of this world. And now I see it as just characters.
Yeah, and that is the conspiracy theory. That's where it
wasn't the common denominator in all these things, and the reason, and one of the hallmarks of the whole conspiracy theory, that they were all hung by a red scarf from doorknobs. Correct me, right?
Yeah.
Which just by the laws of physics, how can somebody hang themselves from a doorknob?
And that was the thing.
Right?
Also, Robin Williams had he met the same fate, a doorknob. And yeah, people were saying Anthony Bourdain's almost like 7 feet tall. He was a very tall guy. Like, he was a big boy. And there was no way.
You had the Avicii guy. Do you remember Avicii? And that big thing of
the DJ Avicii.
Yeah, and he had like a music video showing like
Yeah, I sent that to people.
And he was going to be outing. Avicii was known for, just like Chester Bennington, just like the other Chris Cornell. Avicii was known for being like going to be outing the world of global pedophilia. ... And then he's offed. That's a template.
That music
That's a
video,
template.
though, kind of you was kind of to look at that as though it was a message of him showing what's going on in the video, and he's kind of
the deep state took him out. The deep state took him.
Yeah.
Or was it the Jesuits?
Yeah.
It was pandas, man. Pandas did it.
Oh my gosh, what if pandas are behind this whole thing?
Hey, I was looking at them. Somebody sent me a link to say, like, when you look online and look at old pictures of pandas, there is none.
No, they're not. There is none. No, I fell down this rabbit hole recently. Rambo, I put this whole little thing together. I meant to send it to you. So pandas they really weren't even introduced into the United States. Awareness, nobody in the United States had ever heard of the word panda until 1930. And one came into Brooklyn. Like a panda came into Brooklyn and was like in the middle, like a little street carnival in the middle of Brooklyn. And that is how the world was introduced. Because it happened in New York, and when things happened to New York, even if it existed in China before, but since it happened in New York, then the whole world learned of the pandas in 1930, even though they supposedly existed prior to that.
Same as COVID. COVID was unfurled in Queens.
Yes, sir.
Right, which is interesting because guess where the Spanish flu, the first recorded cases, or supposedly outbreak, was in Queens as well in 1918. Wow. And I thought Queens, Corona, Crown, Queens, and guess what county Brooklyn is because everything in New York City, everything in New York City is broken up into counties, whatever. Kings County.
Shit. Okay, we were just talking about King.
Corona.
Oh my God. Yeah, we were just talking about that with the evergreen. How it's not. The word evergreen and the word king seem to find each other in a lot of these stories. And Kings County is where the first coronavirus death happened, in Kings County, Washington. And it was at an Evergreen Health Medical Center, Evergreen Kings. And then just recently, the Evergreen ship, which was lodged in the canal, quote unquote, big air quotes on that whole sentence. It was lodged in the canal, and once it was freed, we learned it was helped free by the rising tide, which was known as, in this time of the year, it was known as the king tide. So the king tide released the evergreen. So we're back to king and evergreen. Okay.
And obviously they released it after 6 days, and then the traffic backed up for 3 days. It's like always the codes all the time.
Just imagine.
And I can see why people do believe it is a satanic kind of thing. I can see that. Do you know how people, when you see these numbers, obviously that's not what I kind of believe in, the satanic.
I don't believe in the Satan. I just don't believe in Satan.
Maybe that's just a word to describe the evil. I think
it's energy. Satan is Lucifer. I think this is about Lucifer. Like, whoever's taking our loosh is, what are they doing? They're a Lucifer. They're looshing our loosh. Like, what if this whole thing is really, it is about our energy. It's about our, like, the negative energy. It's about our loosh. The whole idea of hell, the whole idea of Satan, the whole idea of it is like the most looshy thing you can imagine. And we teach kids about going to hell and going to the fiery depths of hell for all of eternity. We teach this to children. At the same time, we teach them about the electric chair. It seems to be a lot. And at the same time, Santa's watching you all the time. And so good luck with life. Good luck living a non-traumatized childhood. But I think there's something going on all of these stories, and all of, everything is designed to get our energy out. And if loosh is real, something is taking it. There has to be something on the receiving end of this energy swirl. We talked about the lines and the swirling at the top of the, with the black and white. And I think the Murph, you hit on it perfectly. If you were to rotate that plane, that 8x8 checkerboard, that 64 square checkerboard, the chessboard, if you were to rotate that in time, it would become your hypnotist's swirling vortex.
Like a pendulum, yeah.
That those swirling black and white Twilight Zone style vortex lines that, you know, those hypnotize us, those get us into, and so I think that is kind of like the moving.
Have any of you ever been hypnotized?
Never.
I haven't. I've had it attempted and it didn't work.
I've hypnotized myself though. I mean, I've been driving, I've been on a drive, and all of a sudden it's an hour later. And I've been driving.
I'm not getting in the car with you. I'm not getting in the car with you. Everyone.
Please don't. I'm actually a horrible driver, to be honest. You do not want to be in a vehicle with me. No.
I looked up and it was an hour later.
I can parallel park like nobody's business. I can parallel park, but I can't drive. I can't drive. I can't, but it's weird. It's weird to have that thing. I just get geometry really well in the vehicle, but my spatial awareness while driving is absolutely horrific, and I zone out quite easily. So you don't want me on the road. And so I try not to drive.
It is mad how you can just kind of go on like an autopilot, can't you?
There is something called road hypnosis. It's a thing. It's the striping, which is a new term that I just learned, is all the stripes on a road is called striping, and the striping can be such that at night, especially, the white striping on a road can hypnotize you. It's a constant, repetitive, especially with that soft vibration of the cement of the asphalt. Like there's a constant hum, there's a constant vibration. There's a reason that parents drive their kids around at night to make them go to sleep. If they have a really fussy baby, you know, you'll put your kid.
Do you believe in hypnosis? I'm not sure, because I've never had it done, and I know someone who's had it done, and
I think so.
Said it's works and stuff. But
I think there's a lot we don't know about our brain. I think there's a lot we don't know about hacking our brain.
You know what's really cool? Have you guys ever tried neurofeedback?
What's that?
No.
But basically, it was just I was going through a period and I was kind of anxious, and I did something where you literally sit there and they put headphones on, right? And I don't know what kind of device it is, but it's an electrical device, and it basically like gives you pulses and all these little like things like on your head, and it basically just gives pulses, and you watch like a video, and you focus your attention, and literally like an hour later, you feel as if you had like a massage for a week.
Amazing.
One of the most relaxing things I've ever done.
A thing that's being pushed now kind of on YouTube and stuff, and it's called ASMR. Have you heard of it?
Yes, the soft, like the soft sound.
It's kind of a hypnosis, yeah, and it's like people whispering and stuff, and they like label the videos like toxic energy pulling and stuff like that. And people genuinely go to sleep off it and stuff, you know, and it takes the energy away from them.
I'm open to it. I think there's so much about our awareness and the way that our cognitive experience mixed with our synesthetic experience, this physical experience mixed with our emotional experience, mixed with our just general awareness and the vibrations. It's all very powerful. Like we live in a powerful realm. Energy abounds. Everything is energy. And I think that there are certain things, because they say if you listen to the ASMR, you'll get those like tingles in the back of your head as if you were like scratching your head with one of those head scratchers. I haven't dipped my toe far enough into ASMR to know if it doesn't seem like so far.
It just gets pushed onto your mainstream YouTube page though, and that's where I'm a bit concerned of there's a reason that it's being pushed. You don't have to search for it to come up on your YouTube, you know.
You know what it stands? Do you know what it stands for? I don't.
Yeah, autonomy, sensory meridian response, I think it stands for.
Autonomous, so automatic, without you doing it. Autonomous sensory meridian response. Tingling sensation that typically begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and the upper spine. So I have experienced this, but it's with one of those head scratcher devices, and that was like, it's like literally gives you that sensation. I've never experienced that sensation through spoken word.
Some of these have like millions of subscribers.
Yeah.
Like, and I believe them ones are actually like put on, as we've said before, like YouTube has its own actors.
I don't disagree with the premise that passively, because when you say autonomous sensory meridian reaction is the last word.
Response.
Yeah.
Response. And basically, it's kind of similar to like when passively we sit in front of a TV and watch TV shows and have the words, the colors, the symbols, or the subliminal things that we don't pick up on. Just in the same way that we sit around and talk about the purples, the yellows and grays, and all these other, and all of these, like the Masonic, like what does the white and black stuff mean? Majority of people watch it without thinking any of these things at all, probably, and would think that we're just nitpicking and being crazy. So the ASMR stuff, I mean, people do get hypnotized by the shows. They get hypnotized by the news, hypnotized by everything, So I think in a way it's like kind of like a disclosure in a weird kind of way also.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's telling us, reminding us that we are our brain is easily hacked, easily hijacked, easily influenced.
I was thinking when Rambo was talking earlier, and it seems to be a kind of theme, because that he feels so great. He has no anxiety.
Yeah.
You were talking about how you're feeling spiritual. I see your fleets. The 33s are knocking you over the head. The 33s are knocking me over the head, and a lot of
Everywhere.
people. I'm getting direct messages from people that are everyone's kind of going through a similar kind of thing.
Yeah. We're being spoken to.
What I think we're seeing in real time is like the positive effects of a positive social network.
Yeah. I'm there.
I really do.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really do. And I asked the question yesterday. It'd be somebody, I think it was a Phoenix Rising, account, and he wrote something about. I'm assuming it's a he. It seems like a he. Maybe whatever. I don't know what it is, what he is or she. And he said something like, I'd be so happy to be in this community and find people like that. And I thought to myself, like, if I hadn't found people like you, if I hadn't found people like Rambo, and but I think I said it last week, but if I hadn't met you guys, obviously I wouldn't be thinking these things. But just for argument's sake, if I did, you come across this stuff on your own, and you have nobody to talk to. So the weird thing is, like, we're assuming that all these people out there on the streets who are covered in masks and covered with all this crap aren't thinking the same kind of thoughts that we are. Maybe they are. They just don't know that we exist.
Wow.
Yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I'm probably underestimating the power of humanity, at the capacity to comprehend. Earlier in the show, I called everyone zombies. Obviously I'm writing people off. Obviously, I think you're right. I think that I'm assuming just because people are in the slipstream that they're totally in it and not also questioning and not also searching and not also just waiting for that spark, just waiting for that thing that they can grasp onto that makes sense. Because
that's why you guys kind of try not to plant the seed, but don't force anything. Just plant little seeds, and then someone might come back and say, "Oh, I'm seeing the color purple, or I'm seeing the 33, or I'm seeing," and that's kind of where it comes from, And sometimes I'll plant a little seed of, when you look on the news, it'll be purple, and you look at it and say, "Oh yeah, there is purple in this."
Now that you mention it,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one. The purple, that's a fun one.
Everywhere, everywhere, and that's just crazy.
I think some of the people are misinterpreting the purple and just seeing it all purely as from a negative standpoint of being a deceptive kind of thing that's connected to something like a bad force. I don't think it's that. In order to think that purple is evil, you have to think that Prince was evil. Come on, Prince was not evil. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, I think Prince was a fantastical character who died a very Lucy death.
I
don't know. I just look at him a musician. You can't listen to Purple Rain.
Didn't he collect his awards as his sister?
Prince also died when I was on vacation. Oh my God, whenever I go on vacation, people die horrible deaths. I don't even go on vacation all that. I know I need to stay home. I don't even go on vacation all that much, but yeah, I was on vacation when Prince died.
Very strange situation as well.
You mentioned Murph, you mentioned Michael Jackson's. We're talking about Lucy deaths. Why not jump into it?
You brought him up.
I brought him up. We're talking about
I'm behaving.
Just to say, you are behaving. Just to say, Michael Jackson's death scene photos are entirely purple. The room is just full purple.
Purple full.
Purple. He died by overdose of literally purple full. He was full of purples. The room was full of purples. I rest my case. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, purple.
Yep. A whole lot of purple there. Sold a lot of albums since then, too.
I know. Which makes me think, you know, I feel like the death is just another chapter in a long, long story. You know, the death does for regular Joe Schmo's death is you're done. Your scene's done. And
you know what? I'll be honest. If I was that talented,
I'd fake my death too.
Think about it. If you're that talented, would you want to be constrained to one person your whole entire life?
That's a great point, and you're probably right. That's why if you're right about Michael Jackson starting over as Jack Crooner, it totally makes sense. Why would you want to be? You could end an illustrious career, but why do that to yourself? If that's really your end goal, why make it this horrific car crash of a death? Why make it so loosey? Why
so
make it
no one's looking for it? Like they kind of give the pedo story, so they kind of ended him like that way, didn't they? With Jackson, for instance, they give him all the pedo,
everything,
and then
shock and awe.
Back to the theater of war. Shock and awe was the phrase of the 2001 of going into Iraq and Iran. Oh my gosh, yes, shock and awe. George Bush.
9/11, shock and awe. Everything shock. If you get the energy, if you get a creative vortex of energy, you create kind of not a vacuum, but you create a space where you can put an idea in which it can take place, because the emotions there. It's like somebody sweet talking somebody at a bar. I mean, it's really no different.
Yeah. We are just our vibrations create the world we live in. Like the energy we bring into a situation can create the train tracks for how that situation will go. You can be energetically more powerful than other people in your surroundings, and you can change the entire reality for everyone in your surrounding because your energy is so strong. You know, and when you magnify that can happen just at a party. You know, someone who's really vibrant can walk into the room and light up a party that was kind of dull, or someone who's a real, you know, stick in the mud can walk into a room and really bring down what could have been a really enjoyable time. So that can happen on a moment by moment level on just us as individuals, and we see it all the time in our daily lives. Imagine that times a million, times a billion. How many billions of people, like with an event like 9/11, if they can direct our energy with these global events, and it's a shared global experience. We all experienced 9/11. It imprinted on us. I can't think of a more energetic experience, you know? So these things, it's concentrated energy. It happens to all of us. Something is a result from that, you know, and some people can't, you know, this goes back to our Mandela conversation. Is the Mandela effect a byproduct of these energy shifts, and because the energy shifts, the whole world changes? I've heard that at one point. I've probably considered that, but now, no, I think that's just all hogwash. I think that they do this energy stuff just to keep us imprisoned in a prison of fear, just to fuck with our brains. I'm sorry, I've cussed twice on this. I've cussed many times on this. I guess I'm a little riled up.
You're the host. You can do it.
If you guys hear beep on this episode, it's because I'm beeping out my F words. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that word. But
I haven't cursed yet. Really?
I don't think I've said the F word.
Yeah, of course we fucking can.
Okay. Thanks, Rambo.
Rambo, breaking out the big guns over there.
Now all I can picture is Rambo with like Uzi, you know, like whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who said pandas?
Who said pandas are real? No, that's amazing.
I was looking at like other animals as well. I was looking at the sloth.
Oh yeah,
Have you seen the sloth?
Fuck the sloths.
Fuck the sloth.
Yeah.
They're even wearing little bandit masks, you know?
Yeah,
like
and they give us that's where the avocado comes from the sloth.
What?
We wouldn't have avocados if it wasn't for the sloth. And avocados come from sloth poo.
No,
that is what
way.
they kind of tell us, that there wouldn't be avocados if there wasn't sloths. And apparently there's only 48 left in the world or something. I was
only
reading.
48 sloths left in the world?
Yeah, so that's, when I seen that, I just see the number 3, so it's the number 12, number 3 again. You know, that's
there's no way sloths are real. Now that we're talking about it, there's no way a sloth could exist.
They put them in the kids' films. Is it in the Ice Age?
That thing would get eaten in a minute, in a millisecond in the wild.
Very ugly word.
Sloth.
And that's another one. Oh, God. That's another one. When it comes to the birth, you can't. It's supposedly like a very rare experience that not many people will ever witness. And there's like videos of it happening online. I've searched sloth births.
Oh my gosh. Y'all, they have the curved fingernails. Sloths have the curved fingernails, like from the Guinness Book of World Records from like last week with those. How do you live with the curved fingernails? And they're like, oh, they have curved fingernails because they're just so slow. And it's like, how do they do anything? How do they not get eaten in the wild? They have the curved fingernails, just like the one we talked about last week. These are so impractical.
It's just a lab-made animal, if it's even an animal at all.
But that's assuming that they can make the animals in a lab, can they? I don't even know if they can.
Well, I believe like that's another thing, like the evolution kind of thing, where they show us we come from monkeys. I believe that they do make animals in labs, and
I think so too.
Like they say like we evolutionized from monkeys, but was it man didn't come from a monkey come from a man?
Yeah,
that is the closest.
I don't know about all these things. I think the word is a miscegenation. When I think that's used with people when they say like races mix. But animals, I don't think like you can't put like a cat and a dog and like mix them together and create a third species from those two.
I think they kind of do. Like so I feel like everything, like with the zoos, it's all part of the zoo experiences. All these animals are kind of made for our viewing and for part of our fantasy world.
To both of your points, Murph, to your point, you're right. You can't. There are certain animals that you couldn't do like a fish and a bear. As persistent as those salmon are swimming upstream, they're never gonna mate with a bear.
Yeah, but I believe then they can make these big, massive fish with sharp teeth and stuff, whatever, by crossing certain.
I think sharks are fake.
Again.
I think sharks are fake.
Same.
That's sharks. Like Jaws. The whole idea of Jaws. It's all fake. Oh man, I'm off to the races now. It's all.
I believe the great white shark is fake.
I think it's fake. Huh.
You guys are so jaded.
But they can, back to Rambo's point too. I think that you can take animals that are close, and you can create an animal that can't produce, like a mule, like a donkey and a horse can create a mule, and it's like a very strong animal, but it can't produce. It's rendered infertile or something.
The mixing, the crossbreeding in a lab, they could maybe make anything from it, like we see, like a Frankenstein animal, basically.
I think there are some pretty incredible basic things that we can do in a lab. I don't believe in CRISPR technology. I don't believe in gene editing in the way that they explain it to us through our mass media and through our Nobel Peace Prize winners for gene editing and stuff like that. I don't think that we can do it that much, but I think we can do a lot of manipulation with what exists here in the reality. I think that you can crossbreed certain, like a fox and a
raccoon, and a bear. To make the red panda bear. Yeah. I feel like that's a crossbreed lab made.
And so I think that they have these designer, and I think that they tell us this too with these designer dogs that we have. Everyone's got these designer schnitzel, poodle, Fraudenscheiden.
Definitely, I've got one here, and it's like a little wolf. And how has that been made? It's like I don't know. It's not a natural animal. That was just here. It's like a little fluff ball, but looks like a wolf.
Yeah.
And there's no way it's natural. It's been crossbreeded. How they do with how they make these like unhealthy dog breeds and stuff. That's all done through the crossbreeding.
Yeah. Whenever I watch those dog shows too, I bet those, I wonder if there's any CGI in the world of dog shows. The Westminster Dog Show. I've never
Definitely.
been.
Purple.
It's all purple. It is all purple for sure. Oh, the whole background, man. And I've got full disclosure, I've got an English bulldog. Yeah, I'm living with the kind of repercussions of having a purebred dog. There's a lot that goes on. They're not the healthiest. They're not the healthiest stock. It's.
And a bulldog is kind of in quite a lot of dogs as well. Like that is like a base to a lot of dogs. The bulldog, it's in quite a few dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like with that dog, like say a bulldog, for instance, was that none of these dogs are like, as you say, biblical animals. So like,
yeah, it's like on top. It's new, and on top, but it's important. It's obviously really important for some reason, like that we have dogs. And I do kind of wonder. I wonder what is going on with the obsession with domesticated animals. I love my dogs, but it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of
business.
Energy. It's like, I don't have children, so I know that it's not like having kids, but it's similar in a way that you literally can't do anything without considering the hydration, health, wellness, sleep, nutrition, scheduling, excrements of another entity. And that's what you do with kids. It's scheduling of bodily functions and
they bring in these designer breeds and bulldogs.
It's a lot of work.
They bring these in, and they need a lot of work, a lot of healthcare, and it's a lot of time.
Spend a lot of money.
They're being made to be unhealthy and need all that money spending on them, I think.
Is the whole idea of man's best friend a psyop? Is the whole idea of the domesticated dog a psyop to just siphon off some of our energy? Because no matter how beneficial the relationship is, it's going to be energetically looshy, because eventually, no matter how great the dog is, the dog will die. No matter how great the pet is, the pet will die.
Man's best friend is the dog spelled backwards. You're the god of the dog.
The dog is the god of you. You're the one following behind it, picking up its shit, not the other way around. Yeah. For sure. I'm bowing down. I'm literally bowing down behind my dogs multiple times per day.
Your dogs better pack their bags.
I know. They're about to get out of here. Yeah, they're making life hard for me for sure. These little
They're crying in the corner waiting to get kicked out.
They don't even earn their keep. All they do. Oh my God. And I'm mixing them, like I'm cooking them eggs for breakfast on top of their kibble. Like they've got the life O'Reilly. Yeah. And it's interesting. Yeah. Cause I just want them to have a good life. I just want them to be healthy and happy. And it's like they're dogs. I have to
the dogs are a psyop, really, aren't they?
It feels like a psyop, but I never considered that before. Until as becoming human vibration and really deconstructing all of these things. Because I always grew up with dogs. Dogs were part of my family, but our dogs would always die, and it would be a really horrific, sad time in our family. And we always had English bulldogs. It's kind of a thing. It's very strange. I grew up with them, and they're always having health issues, and so I had all these dead English bulldogs and these urns that we would get. Very strange. Only now am I looking back at all this stuff and going, what does this all mean? Like, why? What does this all mean? What is the common thread? The common thread is kind of emotional trauma.
But have you ever looked into a dog's eyes and you see a soul in a dog?
There is a soul. It
has emotion. It shows emotion.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah, but according to this logic, I mean, every human relationship could be a psyop, right?
Totally.
I mean,
yeah. Detachment is godliness through the idea of just all the Buddhist practices, all the meditative practices throughout time. Detachment of things, of people, of everything, but we just can't help ourselves. It's just too good. This life's just too good.
People like connections.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, even if something is a psyop, everything is a psyop, really, when it comes down to it, right? I mean, so you could pick a positive psyop or like a negative psyop.
It's like black or white, yeah. And it's like pick the way you see it.
The duality.
And you could see a good thing in a bad light, or you could see a bad thing in a good light. It really is, the black and white is kind of ultimately just how we decide to shine and reflect our own light.
Well, really, I mean, people can say it's positive energy or negative energy. It's really neither. It's really just energy.
Yeah, it's what you make of it, whether it's good or bad. You choose.
It's our interpretation.
It's what you put out and how you perceive things, whether it's good or bad. That's how you can make it. If you start thinking, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," also you'll have a bad day. Something else will come from that. Like, that's happened to me. Now I've just stubbed my toe, and then now I've spilt my coffee, and then something that'll just keep going all day.
They even call it, what do they say? They call it waking up on the wrong side of the bed. They call it, So if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, that's code for like your whole day is going to be shit. No matter what happens, no matter what you do, it's all going to go wrong. You're going to spill the coffee in your lap. You're going to get stuck behind every red light on the way to work. Your boss
it's your energy that you're putting out from
but it's your energy.
First experience of the day, where you could have maybe just gone, "Oh, well, who cares?"
Yeah. It is. We render as we go. I say that a lot with my Maria. She's my favorite simulation theory girl, my favorite simulation theory sparring partner. And whenever we talk about this realm and how we experience this realm, one thing we always, talk about is the energy that we bring in and how that is coding in real time. If you were to think about like this binary zeros and ones all around us at all times, almost like the Matrix with, just the walls of green zeros and ones falling down just beyond the veil, the energy that you bring into any situation, into every situation, your energy signature, your energy stamp is going to register, is going to imprint on that situation. And it's going to be fundamentally changed simply by the vibes that you're bringing in, that you possess at that moment. And
can't fake energy.
You can't fake energy. Yeah. And Murph, you said it on a podcast. I think it was with Homewrecker, and they're on fire right now. I've really loved listening to their podcast, or maybe it was on Conrad, who's also on fire. Lots of good podcasts going on right now. But you mentioned how like being on a bad date, like you can't fake your way out of that, and you can't unfeel that. There's something about that. You're either jive or you don't, and there's nothing worse than that feeling of being kind of across from someone and not connecting and like kind of pretending, because it's so obvious and it's kind of excruciating. On the other side of that, like you're good friends, and you're sometimes your family if you're lucky, or like your just significant others, or or even exciting new relationship partners. Like you feel just a natural positivity around that person, and there's none of that like ho-hum weirdness.
Everyone has their own frequency signature, and people can be, you can feel closer to somebody who's halfway around the world than somebody who's right in the room with you if you have differing frequency signatures.
We're on frequency level 33.
Yeah, we literally are. And I do think there was an energy shift. Like, I think there was a great reset. People won't realize it until it's after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was, and I think that's what we're kind of all experiencing. Something with the energy. Maybe the energy is more powerful, and certain people are picking up to it because of their frequency, and other people just don't recognize it. But I think that's a large part of what was going on.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. Yeah, these energetic shifts, an energetic shift, and we all kind of get swallowed into the vortex. It's a vortex again, it's the swirling checkerboard back to
everything comes down to vortices.
Mm.
Everything is born in a vortex. We're all born in a womb. We're all born in the uterus. It all comes. It really. I was thinking about yesterday, like the whole energy trip, right?
Matrix means womb. Matrix doesn't mean female or woman. Matrix literally means the womb. WOMB. Matrix means womb.
The energy stuff. I mean, I've spent months looking at energy stuff, and really what it comes down to is like the female anatomy. It comes down to the vortex.
Mm-hmm.
The ram's head. The ram's head isn't about the satanic stuff. The ram's head.
The ovaries, right?
The ovaries.
Yeah.
The same thing on the on ionic columns.
That's where you get.
Oh, wow.
Energy goes up through the column, and then it's dispersed out through the left, through the right. The left and the right kind of it's analogous to the ram's horn.
Yeah.
Is the fallopian tube on either which side, the left and the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same. It's really all the same thing.
Yeah.
The Adam and Eve kind of things too, as well. Like they said, like Adam was first, but then they call the Eve of Christmas and Eve of New Year comes first. So it's all from the woman,
That's so interesting. The Eve is always before. Wow.
But they tell us the Adam was first, don't they? And then But that can't. I don't believe that. I believe it's like Christmas Eve is the day before the birth, and then the New Year's Eve is the day before the birth of the new year.
Wow.
So that Eve comes first.
But I think also that in a way it's allegorical, and it goes back to the idea of that deception. That the true intent of deception is not really to trick people, right? That basically great truths, right, can't be revealed just by telling people like A, B, C, D. They have to be told through a story. And like the Adam and Eve story, it's deception. Logically speaking, Adam couldn't have just come out of nowhere. Adam would have come logically from a female, from a womb. But that's the whole thing.
The womb comes first, always the beginning of life.
Yeah, but I think the great truth that's supposed to be revealed in that great deception is that these things are beyond our logic. It doesn't make sense, and it's really not maybe supposed to make sense. I mean, it's a great story. It's not supposed to make logical sense.
But is it to discredit the creator to say the creator made a mistake?
I don't know. I don't think a creator can make a mistake.
No, same. I feel like that's what I mean with the Adam and Eve story, how it is all a bit, it doesn't make sense, but all by design.
You can't apply logic to these things and walk away saying, oh, that makes sense. Like anybody who will look at it logically is going to walk away an atheist. But that's the point. The point is that it's not supposed to be based upon logic. It's supposed to be based upon faith. Which is, I'm not a terribly religious person, but I think there's great truths even revealed in all this deception. It's not really deception. It's a story. It's supposed to be it's like a poem. It's not supposed to go sentence by sentence with perfect punctuation. It's supposed to convey something larger than itself. It's not prose. Things that don't make the most sense are the most powerful.
Because we're able to kind of lose our.
Because they're fascinating.
Yes. Okay. There it is. That's it.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
If you go on a date with a guy, the first date, and he tells you his whole life story, and you know everything about him, you're not going to want a second date, will you? No.
Maybe. Depends on how good the life story is.
Touche.
It might be some story.
That's true. Could be. You never know.
And it depends on how charismatic the storyteller is as well. There's a lot goes into that.
True.
Anywho, enough about that. But you're right. Well, that goes back to storytelling. That's how we started. The stories are so important. We want our stories. We live in our stories, and we'd rather be comforted by familiar stories than be hit over the head with a new and quite uncomfortable truth or reality. Yeah. Goes back to also you, Murph, talking about hitting your disciples over the head like a Buddhist monk, really having to beat it in. Got to beat it into the brains. Sometimes there has to be not a soft landing, but a crash. A crash. And someone actually commented about that, about some sort of sonic wave, about how kind of getting into this mindset, this everything is fake mindset, can be a little alarming, can be personally a little chaotic. But if you just kind of loosen up and let it wash over you, kind of in waves, it's not so overwhelming, and it's actually quite cathartic as well. I thought that was interesting. I think I tagged you guys on that when that came through, because I understood what they meant. This stuff is weird. To think like this is different and weird, and it's uncomfortable sometimes, especially when you hold on to things so tightly and dearly. To question things that you hold on to tightly and dearly is not very fun or comfortable. So yeah, but it's freeing. I want to,
Very freeing.
Rambo.
It is really.
I want everyone to feel like Rambo feels. I want everyone to feel like I feel. I want everyone to feel like you feel, Murph. Except if you're drinking all that Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Sorry, Mom.
It's okay. It's okay. We all have our things. I've got my things too. It's interesting though. I remember my favorite treat as a kid was drinking Coca-Cola, ice cold Coca-Cola out of a glass bottle. There's nothing better in the world than ice cold Coke.
Coca-Cola, CC 33.
CC 33, baby. You know it. You know it. You know it. Has to be. Just like I always say, it absolutely has to be purple. It absolutely has to be 33. Absolutely has to be.
No, the reason why I do that on my timeline is because I'm not only interacting with people that I already, like us,
Yeah.
like I'm like there's young people,
mm-hmm.
and
it's exciting. You're like, who's going to be in our crew? Who's going to be in our little, to borrow from the Q community, who's going to be in our digital army?
We need more digital soldiers, whatever. The most exciting thing is young guys.
Yeah.
Who like, I think young guys, I don't think have many places to go. They don't have many voices to believe in.
Yeah.
And the young generation, the 17-year-old kids are the future. Like, I mean, if I don't even bother anymore. Yesterday, somebody called me an agent, and they said that they don't believe in free energy. It doesn't even bother me anymore, because I'm not going to waste my time getting upset about some, 35, 40-year-old guy who's arguing with me like an old curmudgeon about something stupid, when there's 17-year-old guys out there who are dying to like talk about things that are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's also kind of, that's where I put my focus, I think.
Yeah, shine your light where you think it's going to cast the farthest.
Just saying what you feel, and that's it. You're speaking your truth, and it's your truth. It doesn't have to be true to anyone else, but if it rings true to anyone else, then
lightning in a bottle.
It is like lightning in a bottle. We're capturing this moment. We're capturing an essence, an energy of the moment. It's like something that could only happen now. It's at this nexus, this center point of all of these paths.
Vortex.
We're at the center of this vortex of all of these paths conjoining around each other at this swirling center. And we seem to have like found ourselves at the eye of the storm, which is the calmest, right? Don't they always say that? Like there's absolutely, yes. Don't they always say at the very center of the storm?
In a few weeks, we'll be screwed.
No, I think we're always going to stay in the center. I think that's the metaphor. I sure hope I'm right and you're not, and then you're right.
I'm
yeah.
joking.
But no, I think there's something cool. I think there's something. I think I need to learn how to take a joke sometimes when I'm on my high horse. Oh no, where'd Rambo go? We lost Rambo.
Where's Rambo? He always disappears.
Where'd Rambo go? We'll get him back. We'll let him back in when he comes in.
He's in a fight with the pandas. He's in a fight with the pandas.
Yeah, the pandas were like, cut him, cut this guy off. What if there is like what if like the World Wildlife Federation comes after Rambo?
They're going to send their Jesuit assassin after Rambo.
They've got a lot of money. There's a lot of donations going to that World Wildlife with that panda logo. There's a lot of money going there every year.
And the articles will be all coded.
33. Everything will be in increments of 33.
There's so much comedy potential here, right? And just like funny stuff. I mean, potential skits.
Oh man.
Skits up the wazoo.
Just imagine just doing skits with the purple. Although it's already being done. I feel like this is a skit. I feel like every time I look at any sort of like.
Maybe we might be the skit.
Well, I've always thought that I was secretly hilarious, so I sure hope that I'm in this skit. I hope that someone's.
I laugh.
Oh, here goes Rambo.
Rambo's back.
Rambo's back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Well, we had a whole thing that the World Wildlife Federation sent their Jesuit assassins. What's true?
Better make sure you better make sure that you have your locks, all your doors locked at night, Rambo.
Yeah.
Pandas wear those, like the sloths. They also wear those little masks, like little bandit masks. They're all wearing.
Posting the panda thing, I seen a promotion come up and it was a beer advert of a panda on it. It's like pandas. I'm seeing pandas everywhere now.
Oh gosh. Infiltrating.
Yeah.
They're black and white. We talked about that once before. The pandas are a representation of that Masonic checkerboard. Oh boy. And zoo animals, essentially, if everything we're talking about is we're talking about some big stuff. Essentially, we're the animals in the zoo. We're the pandas. We're designed.
Everything else is for our entertainment.
Just because we're biologic doesn't mean we're not machinery. And just because we're biologic doesn't mean we know where we're designed. We're the creator. If you subscribe to any sort of religion, you believe in the design of humanity. And we're biologic machines that 3D print other human beings. I think that's pretty insane.
I believe we're the iRobot, like out the movie, like we're
for sure.
Kind of the iRobot and have gained consciousness.
I think that we are. I think that. Yeah, I think that there's a lot more going on than just the magic and wonder of nature. I think that there is. And there's a reason that nature is mathematics based. There's a reason that nature has an absolute source code, that everything follows the golden ratio, that everything follows this fractal design. Everything in nature is so it's mathematical.
Well, I can't believe that pandas didn't come out of the test tube until I see one in the wild. Just walking along and I see a panda in the wild, because it's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, and that's why they never give birth in zoos, and when they do, it's always this rare event, and then we don't really see it. We just see the video of it, and it's ridiculous. And it's like shooting out of their little pouch, and it's the size of a chihuahua, like you said, Rambo. Yeah. I mean, that's wild to question pandas, but.
And then you've got the Kung Fu Panda that then is brainwashing the kids to believe that it's a real thing.
And back to childhood, if you want to introduce any sort of psyop, you have to cement it early. Space and dinosaurs. Space and dinosaurs, yeah.
It's all planted from when you're young, and then you've got no reason to question it when you're older. But that's what I was saying. We're all programmed like those kind of the iRobots, and some gain human consciousness.
Are we the rogue elements in the machine?
Yeah.
I feel like we
are. Some loose wires.
I feel like we're loose, for sure. I feel like we're loose wires. They're like, what is going on in sector C33? Y'all know. I literally live on the 33rd parallel. My city. I was made for this fight.
Yeah. We'll see what next week's brings and what we're getting this week.
We'll see what next week brings.
Lucy psyops come again.
You know they will.
They're due. Definitely, and I do expect an alien kind of thing in the near future. And I also expect a kind of a 9/11 kind of event within this year, to be honest with you, I do.
2021. I can see it both.
It's the year of the 2 3s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's keep an
This
eye
is a
out.
good one.
Let's keep our real eyes trained on all this fakery. It's been another great one. Thank you so
same.
much. Yeah. Awesome.
Have a good evening, guys.
Okay. Good night.
You too, Murph.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.